Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is student reports. Do we have any student reports? No, not tonight. Next item is secretary's reports. In your packet, members, you have the minutes from the executive session of 7/21/15. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions? If not, a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vinnie. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jim. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, so voted. Next, you have the minutes for the regular school committee meeting of 7/21/15. Any corrections or additions? If not, a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Vinnie. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Next item, financial report. The comptroller, Mr. Suda.
Mr. Chairman, so just to start with, I think at the last meeting, I had indicated that I had hoped to have a final report for the last fiscal year, but we're still working on reviewing encumbrances that need to be closed out. And rather than give you a report that needs to be adjusted one more time, I'd like to present that at the next meeting. So
That's
we'll be
fine.
in better shape with that.
Yep.
The report that you have for tonight, it's for the month of July, ending July 31st. And there's, it's the first month of the new fiscal year, so there's really no revenue to report, so to speak. We haven't really collected anything yet. But some of the things that I'd like to point out in the report, just so you know, is that there are line items in there for teaching salaries and professional salaries having to do with Lake Street School, because that's the way we budgeted it last year. We weren't sure where everybody was going at the
Right.
time. So for the next school committee meeting, we should know where those funds are going to be allocated to. We'll know which teachers are going where, and their money will follow them to that particular school.
Okay.
So I will have to come back with a request for a transfer of funds to be approved by the school committee to move that money to the appropriate lines.
All right.
You'll also find in there that there are some, what appear to be budget overages on line items relating to teacher salaries and paraprofessionals and so forth. And a lot of that is, again, because of the settling of the teacher's contract. At the time, we didn't adjust the salaries in the budget that was approved. So I'm in the process of doing an analysis for the overseer. So some of those lines, again, we'll have to do transfers to cover the shortfall in some of those lines, but we should be okay. There's also extra funds in the health insurance stipend line that I think we can use to cover many of those transfers, so that should be, we should be okay with that. And also, the other adjustment for some of those line items are the Unit C contracts that changed as well. And then in addition to that, the accounts payable clerk and myself are going through some of the encumbrances for the standard blanket encumbrances for the year. Because we've closed Lake Street School, some of those encumbrances were put in without consideration. So we need to make some adjustment to those encumbrances. And so I guess what I'm trying to tell you is next month's report will be more accurate than tonight's.
Okay, fine. Anyone have any questions for the comptroller in regards to that report? Vinnie?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. To you too, Gary. Can we have an additional report showing us all the revolving accounts? I'm not sure how involved of a task I'm asking, so you need to tell me that. I mean, I know roughly how many revolving accounts we have in the schools, but can we see a report on a monthly basis showing all of the revolving accounts? Showing, similar to this, beginning balances, expenditures for the month, and then,
Receipts.
Receipts, and
Yep.
then ending balances. What type of a challenge is that?
The only challenge is if typically we're going to present these reports at the first meeting of the month.
Right.
Because the revolving accounts involve reporting revenues. Until I reconcile the bank statements and make sure all the revenues are there, it might be best to give you that report of just the revolving funds at the work workshop meeting.
Either that, or it could just be, so you're
month
saying
behind.
it would be a month behind?
Yeah,
Because,
we-
I mean, the
Yeah, we could do that.
statements aren't going to come in till the second week of the month, typically. You're not going to get a
Right.
balance probably till the third. So if we just do it a month behind, that's fine, as
Yeah.
long as we,
Get one.
on a monthly basis. I think that's pretty important for us to see. And the other accounts that I would like to see on a monthly basis are all of our capital accounts that we have.
Capital meaning capital projects.
Capital meeting, capital assessment costs that we have for the district, capital projects for the district, anything that we're putting towards capital, whether it be through the towns. It's not showing up on any of our line items of how we're utilizing those funds. We bought some of the technology computers through capital,
Right.
and it didn't show up on any of the expenditure reports. It didn't show up anywhere. Let me
Right,
rephrase that.
right.
It was not visible to the board. Certainly wasn't visible to me, and I had gone through this. And I want to be able to see that type of stuff. Of course, you know, when we sign the warrants like we did this evening, or are in the process of doing this evening, I mean, we're signing a warrant, and it's a set amount, and we're not looking at any of the backup data, so we really don't know.
Right.
You know, and that's a big issue.
What I'll say in answer to that is, we really don't have any capital projects going. We have a small amount of money left from the technology upgrade program.
Okay.
But I can report on that as it's expended. And once that's gone, there are no other capital monies that we are planning to expend. Everything would be in this budget, unless we go forward in the fall and approach the town's capital committee for certain items, and then, you know, we'd have another assessment next year that we could spend, but.
Okay. And the last question I have for the comptroller is that, at this point, the funds that CDW had from the school district, have we recovered those?
We have not yet. We have
Okay.
not yet,
We-
but
are we
we're in
still
the process,
of-
yes, yep. And it's about $40,000.
Okay. Is there a challenge to recovering that, or?
No, it's just been coordinating with the representative that's it.
Okay.
No,
Is there approximate timetable when you think that might?
I would say by our next regular meeting, we should have it. Yep.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Gary? All set? You have anything else, Gary?
I don't know, Jen, where's the busing on that?
Next item will be superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As requested by the committee at several former meetings, a number of these things are follow-ups. First thing is, that I just want to let you know that further on the agenda under unfinished business is the kindergarten enrollment, which I have in this report. And I just want to let you know that as of today's date, there are 23 students registered for the single kindergarten class at East Brookfield Elementary. There are 86 students registered for Wyer Village, but Wyer Village has 4 classes for kindergarten. So as East Brookfield has only 1 kindergarten classroom, and the limit is 24 to 25, Mr. Tomlin has informed me he cannot accept any additional students at this time. That would include school choice and intra-district transfers. For the past 3 years, there have been K students who enroll right after school starts or in the days right before. And Mr. Tomlin sees that if he sees that spaces do open up during September, he will notify me, and then we will in turn notify parents and go to the wait list. Do you want to stop and have questions if there are any?
No, go ahead, and we'll go through and give the whole report.
All right. I wanted to let you know that there was about the administrative summer work and also the professional development planning. District administrators met for 2 days in July and will meet again for 3 days in August for the purpose of planning for the 15-16 school year. On July 21st and 22nd, administrators reviewed numerous topics that included communications, educator evaluation, the move, budget, special education, 504s, facility maintenance, staffing, data, open houses, school calendar. Felt that those 2 days were extremely successful. We also had Attorney Moskos review state regulations and district policies, as well as the district School Assistance Center brought their staff in and did an overview of their assistance, and then discussed next steps for training needs for the district, as well as data teams in August. I will be requesting a meeting with SEBTA President Mark James to reestablish and convene the Professional Development Committee for the next school year. The purpose of this is certainly to encourage teacher-driven professional development that is of high quality and responsive to the needs of staff in the district. The next thing is, I want to make sure that everyone is aware of, and it's one of the attachments that you have in your packet, that the MASC, so it's School Superintendents Association as well as School Committee Association for the state, are doing their annual joint conference. That will be in November. It was when both organizations come together to host the state's largest annual gathering of educational leaders. There'll be nationally known speakers. There'll be a variety of panel sessions offering professional development opportunities, in-depth discussions of critical education issues. There will be educational vendors and exhibitors. There'll be demonstrations on instruction and management best practices, and there'll also be a chance for you to network with other school leaders and especially school committee members. Last year's conference included over 50 workshops and panel sessions on cost savings issues, PARC, learning standards, labor relations, ed evaluation, leadership development, and legal and legislative updates, plus innovative ideas that would describe the MASC partners. So I would encourage you to look at that and decide if you're able to attend.
I would ask before the superintendent goes on, any members that are interested in attending that, if you'd contact the superintendent's office and let them know, let Missy know.
Yeah, my executive assistant will get you registered for that. There's a registration process to go through, but she'll be happy to take care of that for you. Under the personnel report, I just wanted to let you know that congratulations are in order for the June and July retirees. There were 11 of them. There were 10 resignations that were received, and there were 2 non-renewals. Open houses and start dates for the calendar. I wanted to let you know that Wyatt Village will have all grades an open house on August 25th. That's from 4 to 6 p.m. We had promised that we would have those open houses as students, that gave parents and students a chance to come in to see the classrooms in their in the various buildings. The kindergarten open house will be on September 1st from 9 to 10:30 in the morning. East Brookfield Elementary kindergarten open house will be on September 1st from 9 to 10:30 as well. So those are both going on at the same time. Knox Trail will do their open house on August 24th at 6 p.m. in the gym. I would tell you that also the notices have gone out from the transportation company about having a kindergarten open house. They talk about safety on buses and introduce the students to the buses. That's on August 19th from 10 to noon at Vani's Garage in East Brookfield. The next item is new teacher orientation and convocation. The new teachers will attend 2 days of NTO, that's short for new teacher orientation, on August 25th and 26th. They'll meet administrators and they'll take school tours. They'll receive an overview of programs and grants, technology training, and they'll have time with building principals. Business staff will be present to answer questions they may have about benefits or payroll. And I'm also going to be inviting the union leadership to explain the membership information for the teachers unit. On Monday, August 31st at 8:30 a.m., the entire school community will participate in the 2015 Spencer East Brookfield Regional School District Convocation. Convocation is from a Latin word, convocare, meaning to call or to come together as a group of people that are formally assembled for a special purpose. In this case, it will be to promote academic excellence in the district as a full organization. So all school personnel, administrators, teachers, paraprofessional aides, secretaries, food service workers, custodians, all employees will come together to launch the new school year. Invitees to the convocation will be school committee members and town officials. It is certainly my hope that this coming together will be the right start to a new school year that will help us to build the common vision for our work. Also in your package as an attachment, we have been notified that there is a charter proposal. It comes from Old Sturbridge Village. This will clearly impact our enrollment, given that the first year proposes K to 2 and then adds a grade each year up to K to 8. So this is a proposal that has been sent to the Department of Education for consideration right now. I was asked to come back to give more information about global studies. So my report reads as follows. Given recent innovations in other Massachusetts districts to establish global studies programs, in addition to the need for our district to distinguish itself in a positive way and the benefits that such a program provides to our students, I'm strongly recommending that the district pursue the establishment of a global studies program. During the course of this year, my recommendation is that a committee be formed to research and examine what other districts have adopted and the superior results that have been achieved. Research shows that global competence is an important component for any student's education. Colleges see a global competency certificate as a very positive factor on an application, and there is grant money available for such programs, including student scholarships for the participants. I've been researching various programs, and I can tell you that Needham has a very long-standing program, but other schools who are also pursuing these global studies just recently are Leicester, Hingham, Tohoto Regional, Framingham, Lincoln-Sudbury Regional, and also Cohasset. I can tell you that in Framingham specifically, it goes beyond the high school level, and in fact, they have just received word that they are launching an international baccalaureate primary year program in their Woodrow Wilson Elementary School. So this is certainly something that has been popping up in a lot of districts across the state, and I feel that it is an imperative that we do so as well. The benefits of such a program include that students will learn how to communicate, how we are interconnected, and how systems operate across other nations and regions. They'll gain an ability to articulate thought and ideas clearly and effectively in a global way. They'll learn to collaborate to investigate possible solutions to global problems as well as local problems. They'll develop new knowledge about a world culture or internationally relevant issues. They'll build relationships and be able to interact with individuals from diverse cultural backgrounds, and they'll also be analyzing and interpreting contemporary world issues and events. The last thing that I put in my report is that you had asked me to do a follow-up with Mr. Feeney, who's the director of the Indoor Air Quality Program, about inspections of all the other schools in the district. And we did hear from him today that he will be putting together potential dates for the inspections, and he will let us know. And he has every intention of starting at the high school.
Okay. Anyone have any questions in regards to the superintendent's report?
Yes, I have some questions.
Heather?
Will siblings be given top priority for the inter-district school choices?
At this point, we haven't even gotten to that point. I mean, that's not necessarily part of a policy, but what I would tell you is that right now in the kindergarten classes and also some others, we're not very positive about the possibilities, frankly, so we wanted to let parents know that. But in cases where it is a hardship on a family, we certainly will take that into serious consideration.
Okay. And would it be like first come, first served, whoever applied first?
We have date stamped everything that we received.
Okay. For the Mass conference, the Mass School Committee conference, is it possible to just go for one day, or do you have to commit to all 4?
No, it is.
Okay.
Many school committee members do that because they have jobs, as many of you do, so.
Okay.
I mean, they don't expect people to stay. There's actually, on the last day, there were various things going on different days. There's one for executive assistants, for example, to school committees and/or superintendents. That's another separate day. So people come, sometimes they come for the first day because they see something really interesting on the first day that they care about, and then they don't come at all. Again, others come on the last Friday.
Okay. And then my final question is, could we please receive the superintendent report like 2 days before the meeting? Because it's hard. I mean, I like listening to it as you go over it, but I'd like to be able to review it before the meeting so I can ask more questions, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Is that it, Heather? All set? Anyone else have any questions? Okay, moving on. Next item on the agenda is surplus property, second reading. Mr. Suda.
This is going to be very interesting, so pay close attention. Spencer East Brookfield Regional School District policy relating to the disposition of surplus supplies. This is the second reading of the policy. The purpose: from time to time, the Spencer East Brookfield Regional School District may find it necessary to dispose of materials, residual supplies, old excess furniture, and surplus equipment. The following procedure outlines the steps to be followed when disposing of such items with a resale or salvage value of less than $10,000. Administration: this policy shall be implemented through the office of the superintendent or their designee. Definition: surplus items covered under this policy shall be defined as items no longer useful to the district, as well as having a resale value or salvage value of less than $10,000. Surplus items shall include furniture, books, motor vehicles, technology equipment, and other materials and supplies. Surplus items covered under this policy shall not include real property. Policy: furniture, books, motor vehicles, technology equipment, and other materials and supplies, excluding real property, shall be declared surplus by the building principal or administrator. The building principal and/or administrator shall make a written recommendation to the superintendent to declare certain items as surplus. The written recommendation shall include a detailed listing of the items being recommended for disposal. The superintendent or their designee shall act upon the request of the building principal or administrator. Having been so declared and approved for disposal, the following procedures shall be followed when disposing of surplus items excluding real property. 1. Provide a listing of the surplus items to other departments within the school district for review and possible use. 2. Place all surplus items in a central location for viewing by interested parties. And we added a third one to make sure that we contacted member towns in the district to offer them the district surplus as well. 3, dispose of surplus items excluding real property by one of the following methods: auction, sealed bid, donate or sell to another governmental agency or not-for-profit agency, sell surplus items excluding real property by advertising on the district website, local newspapers, or seeking informal quotes from vendors. E, use trade-ins towards the purchase of use as trade-ins towards the purchase of similar items. And F, properly dispose of all items remaining after following one of the declared methods listed above. 4, properly record and retain all documents related to the disposal. And 5, update inventory if applicable. The Spencer East Brookfield Regional School District reserves the right to accept or reject any or all bids. All sales shall be made on an as-is or where-is basis. All items sold shall be paid for by a cashier's check or certified money order made payable to the Spencer East Brookfield Regional School District. The district will furnish upon request a listing of all bids. This policy shall remain in effect until rescinded or revised by the Spencer East Brookfield Regional School Committee.
Thank you, Gary. So members have now heard the second reading. This can now be adopted as a policy. Before the chair entertains a motion to do that, are there any additional comments or questions for any board members in regards to the information that was just read? Nothing? Then the chair would entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
Motion by Andrew, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Next item, substitute pay rates in region. Members should have had a handout at your table. Dr. Crow?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As requested at a former meeting, what I did was I put it on the listserv to all superintendents for them to give me as much information as they had. This is what they had at the time. I would just caution you that this is certainly not very inclusive, as you see, and it is because many superintendents are on vacation right now and did not get back to me. They had out-of-office replies. So this is what I had to date, and I just wanted to update you as to what I had right now.
I think it was mentioned at the time when this was first talked about that if you could bring forward some information, report to us as an ongoing process, and maybe we can ask for an updated report for the next meeting. You may have additional data at that time. That's satisfactory to everybody? Okay. Next item, update on security improvements. Dr. Crow?
Actually, I believe that's going to be Mr. Suter.
Mr. Suda, you're handling security updates?
I know that the Finance Subcommittee, when they met, had approved an additional amount of money to be used for capital improvements, and quite honestly, I think the subcommittees hadn't met since then, so I'm not sure what the intent was to use that money for, so I think if we could refer that to the workshop meeting coming up, and maybe the
Okay.
Capital Committee could report back on what their priorities might be to.
Vinnie, would you care to speak to that? Because I think you're the one that brought up to put those monies aside and what they were for.
Well, it was $50,000 that we earmarked, and it was a unanimous decision of the board, not just the subcommittee, to use that for security upgrades throughout the district, and we felt that upgrading the camera systems was where we felt we needed to at least start. Not saying that's the only upgrades that are required, but that's certainly a starting place. We also agreed that we wouldn't discuss any of the particulars in open session because there's security issues and they should be dealt with under executive session umbrella. But I think generally, that's pretty accurate unless any member remembers anything different.
I think, did we not also include new doors for the high school in a couple of locations?
We did. You are correct. We did include doors for the high school. There was, I believe, a couple of sets of doors that were requested,
Yep.
and we felt that that was also a high priority.
All right, so if it's agreeable to members, the chair will include it on the next, on our next workshop meeting. Would that be appropriate? And we can discuss there where we want to.
I would just suggest that if we're going to do that at a workshop meeting, which is fine with me, it's appropriate, let's post it for an executive session, because I don't want to talk about this securities for the schools. I don't think it's a big issue talking about doors.
Right.
When we get into talking about security cameras and whatnot, I think that needs to be done under the umbrella of executive session.
Right.
Just to protect everybody.
Dr. Crowe?
Mr. McNeely is actually looking into this, in terms of this, just so you know, it has been looked at, and he's gathering information.
Perhaps, Gary, you could have some conversation with Mr. Bayshard. I think he had indicated before that you've replaced some of the doors, and he may be able to give some information as to cost or who did it, that type of thing, to give us a little more information when it's brought up.
Okay.
Anyone else have anything in regards to that issue?
The only thing I would say is if Mr. McNeely is looking into it, I take it that's from a technology standpoint to make sure that it can interface with the district's technology. That's great, and we should get a solid understanding, and we should probably get, look, it doesn't have to be a formal 5-page report. If it's just a white sheet saying, look, this is what our system is designed for, this is what our system can handle, just point us in the right direction so that we don't put the cart before the horse and go out and try to do something and then only to find out that we can't do it technology-wise. Let's just make sure that we're all on the same page with it, that's all.
So the superintendent can make a request to Mr. McNeely to have some type of report for us for the 18th? As to where's that? Okay. All right, next item, kindergarten enrollment for East Brookfield and Wyatt Village. Dr. Crowe?
That's what I did in my superintendent's report.
Okay. Next item is appointment of banking services. This
Mr.
is-
Chairman?
I'm sorry.
On the enrollment, is there a reason we're not seeing projected enrollment numbers like we see on a monthly basis? We see actual enrollment numbers when school's in session.
Mm-hmm.
Can we not see those projected enrollment numbers for the schools?
We can as of today, because the rollover was done actually today. We
Oh.
received notification that rollovers were done, so now we can generate an
Okay.
enrollment report.
So at our next, well, that'll be September, but we'll have something, I take it. Okay. Is there a chance that you could get that out to the members through email in between meetings? I would appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, the next item, banking services. Members were sent electronically the bids that came in for banking services. Mr. Suter mailed everything out. I think we got 3 or 4 responses. They were all sent to everybody. I'd like you to look them over, and at the next regular school committee meeting in September, we will put the issue on for a vote at that time and have a recommendation from someone as to where we go from there. If you have any questions in regards to it after you review it, you can feel free to either call myself or call Mr. Suter and ask him, okay?
Mr. Chairman?
Vinnie?
On that issue, I did receive that. I have not even, I believe I received it yesterday, maybe it was today, I'm not sure, but I have not had an opportunity to look at it. What I would like, though, is that our treasurer and comptroller get together and clearly understand what the needs financially of the district are, and just to make sure that we're on solid ground, so that, because I'm going to be looking to those two entities for a recommendation.
Right.
That's what I'm going to be looking for,
Yeah.
of what we're going to do with banking services. I don't feel that I want to try to direct that from here. I think I need it to be suggested. If there's two of equal value and can serve us just as well, fine, offer up both. But, and then we have to make a decision at this level. But I just think that it needs to come from the people in the district that are responsible for the financials.
Right.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think the intent is we are going out and advertising for a treasurer. CPI is leaving on September 30th, so in some discussions that I've had with Mr. Suter, we both came to the agreement that we thought it would be best if we were doing this all at the same time when the new treasurer comes in, the banking services, because there's an awful lot of changes that have to be made. It'll be easy to do it all, and it will give an opportunity for some input from whoever the treasurer is. Anyone else have any comments? Angela?
Is it possible, because I did go through the proposals, is it possible to get specs on what the current banking is? Because it's hard for me to understand what would be better about switching without knowing what we have right now.
We can have the comptroller look and see
Possible?
if there's anything on record for what the formal specs were when it went out to bid the last time.
Thank
If we have that, we can forward it to you. Yeah. Anyone else? Okay, next item, bus schedule. Gary, Mr. Suter.
Okay, so when we started this whole process of closing Lake Street School and moving classrooms around, there were some questions about start times and bus schedules and how this was going to all impact the district. And I can tell you that we've been working with AA Transportation and Mel, who's in the audience tonight, and we've gone through this maybe half a dozen times or more to try and figure out bus routes that would work. When the whole issue came up in the beginning, if we kept start times the way they were and bus schedules the way they were, it was going to cost the district about $150,000 more to bus those kids just because of the reconfiguration of the levels of school, and some of those bus routes were going to be overcrowded, and it would have required us to put on an additional 3 buses. So obviously, the district doesn't have $150,000 to work with for additional busing. So we went back and worked with Mel, and she did a fantastic job. And what we came up with, what the compromise is that in order to provide the busing at the same cost, or relatively the same cost as it was in last year, we would need to have a start time for Knox Trail Junior High be the same as the start time for the high school. So last year, Knox Trail started at the same time as the high school, but Knox Trail was grades 6th, 7th, and 8th. So this year, because 5th grade will be there, they will also be starting at the early start time. So that alleviates some of the pressure on the elementary bus runs. In addition to that, some of the children, the students that live and attend Knox Trail that live in the area, many of them are walking and only live a half a mile or more away. So in order to alleviate additional crowding on the buses, we're going to have to extend the walking distance for mostly the Knox Trail students and out from a half a mile to a mile. And along with that, we will put crossing guards where they need to be so that the students' safety is ensured. But that's basically what we were able to come up with after, and I'm not taking credit for this. It was all Mel who did this. It's a matter of plugging all the children into the right bus routes, seeing if we're overloaded. She had to actually take some bus routes and change them around and put kids on other buses to make it all work. So it's pretty much in balance right now, and some of that can change. In the first few weeks of school, we have children that we think may take the bus that end up don't taking the bus, or vice versa. But it's going to require some change on the district's part. There are, it's my understanding that in the past, there are kids that show up at the bus stops and take the bus even though they're not scheduled to be a bus rider. So going forward, because the buses are so crowded, only those that are authorized or scheduled to take a bus will be able to take that bus. So it's a lot of information to digest. And rather than take up school committee time tonight, what we'd like to do is schedule a meeting on August 20th as an informational meeting for the public. Parents can come. We'll have, Mel just actually finished up many of the routes. So we'll have the bus routes, who's going to be on each bus. We'll have the walking routes. We'll know where the cutoff points are going to be for kids that need to walk. We'll have detailed information on where the crossing guards will be and how they will get to the various schools that they're attending. So that's where we stand with that. And I got to thank Mel for her hard work on this, because it was a lot of effort to go through to keep honing it down and getting it better and better until we finally get to the point where we're pretty much doing the same thing for the same cost with a few changes. So
Gary, I know the district has a busing coordinator. Did she participate in this process as well? Or?
she did. She did. She's on vacation this week, and that's the reason we're not going to have this meeting until the 20th. She doesn't get back until the 15th or something like that. So we'd like to have her there. So
Okay.
Mel will be at that meeting, I'll be at that meeting, and Kathy Ostrott will be there as well. And we should be able to explain what we did, why we did, have the bus routes out there for you, the walking routes, and be able to answer all your questions.
Would there be interest, or are members interested in attending that meeting? Because if there's enough of you, I should make sure that that's posted. You know, if enough of you may show up to hear what's going on, or to be there to speak with parents, if you would let the Missy know if you're planning on attend that and stuff, and if it looks like we're going to meet a quorum, then I'll get it posted as a meeting. Okay. Anyone have any questions? Heather?
With the overcrowding on the buses, will bus passes be issued this year to help alleviate that?
We have Mel in the audience from AA Transportation.
Mel, would you come down to the mic, please? Just give your name, please, for the record.
Hi, my name is Melody Miller.
Okay. The question was, due to the crowding, will there be bus passes issued?
What type of bus passes? Is that
Just
for
a simple pass that would clip to a student's like backpack, just signifying that they ride the bus?
We already have them for kindergarten and first grade. So other than that, we haven't had them in the past. But there are other bus passes that children get to go to a friend's house or something like that. Those will not be allowed. We do not have room on the buses.
I know, it's something we use I teach in the Leicester School District, and all of our students, I'm a middle school teacher, and they all, if they're a bus student, they have a tag right on their backpack, just so the bus drivers know whether they're on the bus, the teachers
Right
know.
now, we do not have that.
Okay. And then my second question, I guess, I don't know if this is for Mr. Suter or Superintendent Crow. Will middle school sports teams, will middle school students still be able to participate in high school sports? Do we know that at this point? Yes, they will be? Okay, thank you.
All set? Anyone else? Mike?
I have one question. Due to the same start times at the high school in Knox Trail, will there be middle school students and high school students on the same buses?
There will be.
So we'll have fifth graders and 12th graders on the same buses?
There, Mr. Chairman, through
Yes.
you. Yeah, there will be, and we discussed that with Mel at AA Transportation, and what's typically done in other districts, because there are other districts that mix those grade levels as well. So I think what the bus driver can do is actually segregate the bus and keep the younger kids in the front of the bus and the older kids in the back of the bus. So as the year progresses, the bus drivers will be familiar with who the fifth graders are and kind of keep an eye on them and keep them closer to the driver than the older kids.
Anything else, Mike? No. Anyone else have any questions in regards to that? Vinnie?
Mr. Chairman, through you, I think that Heather's suggestion of a bus pass for all bus students is a really good idea. If the buses are this crowded and we can't even offer passes to, for a child to be dropped off at some other spot when they wouldn't normally be dropped there, I think that, I understand all that and I get it. We're trying to really, make people sharpen their pencil and hone the services down to what we actually need for the district, and I'm okay with that. But if we're going to do all that, we shouldn't have, as Gary said, last year, there was kids that didn't belong on buses, to actually taking the bus. So we need to prevent that. So, maybe there's a way to work out this bus pass system. I think that makes sense. Some way to identify students that do belong on the buses. Makes sense to me. I just think we ought to look to implementing something around that, concept.
We can look at that for the 20th.
All right, so the comptroller is going to look into that, have discussion with the bus company and stuff, and I wouldn't object if there's some small cost to get this done.
Right.
If that's the need be, then, whatever we have to do to work it out.
Right.
All right?
It-
Everybody,
In past years, just one last question, if you will. In past years, and this is, I'm asking some historical information here, and I'm not sure who here is going to be the historian. What typically have students walked? How far have they walked to our school?
Gary, have you looked at that?
I think it's been a half a mile.
Half a mile?
So I think the state law is 2 miles.
Right, and I believe our district policy is up to 1.5 miles.
Right.
So we can go up to that range.
Right, no, I understand all that. I'm just trying to find out if historically, if it's ever been further than the half mile that it is currently. That's all I was just trying to find out.
Depending how far you want to go back, I would say yes, it has been. But,
Uphill both ways without shoes? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
right, yeah. A lot of this changed when Wye Village was built, because that was put in as part of the policy when it was built, that there would be no walkers, that everybody would be bused. So I believe there were
Right.
times when we were picking up kids that were,
Right.
20 yards away from the school, but that was the policy, that they couldn't walk because there was no sidewalks and stuff, But perhaps Gary can look into that a little deeper and get a better answer for us. Anyone else have any comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman, just one more
Gary?
comment. I don't want to make it, I don't want to slight Kathy Oster out. She did a lot of work and worked with Mel on this early on, so
Yep.
just because she's not here, I don't want to
Right.
throw her under the bus, so to speak.
All right, no other questions, then we'll move on. The next item is a revote of the PPS position. Dr. Crow, there was a question as to whether this was properly identified on an agenda, so council has recommended that you make your recommendation back to us again, and that the board revote it tonight. So would you bring forward the name that you recommended, please?
My recommendation is to, for you to do a vote on Carla Chioda.
Okay, on that recommendation, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vinnie, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Angela, on a roll call vote. Heather?
Aye.
Vinnie?
Aye.
Jim? Aye. Mike?
Aye.
Angela? And the
Aye.
chair votes aye. Same thing holds in effect for the next item, revote of investigator. This was questioned as well. The board had voted to hire Attorney Robert Hennigan as the investigator, working through the CPI report. Is there a motion for that appointment?
So moved.
Motion by Angela, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, on a roll call vote. Heather?
Aye.
Vinnie?
Aye.
Jim? Aye. Mike?
Aye.
Angela?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Next item is the auditor update. Mr. Suter.
I have been successful in contacting 2 firms. I sent them both information that they requested to provide us with a proposal. I'm hoping to have most of that information back by the end of the week or the first part of next week. So I should have a better understanding where we're going with that at our workshop meeting.
Okay. Any questions from anybody in regards to that? Mr. Cludier?
Mr. Chairman, through you to the comptroller and to my fellow board members, I would like to make sure that our request for auditor proposals includes a complete audit of the student activity funds from each school on an annual basis. State law says that we have to do that once every 3 years, and we can do it in-house. I just feel that in my couple of years that I've been here, we've had now a couple of issues with the student activity funds, and I certainly think it just behooves us, just for the sake of putting everybody at ease, that the funds that the students are collecting and utilizing for themselves are appropriately expended. And I think we ought to do that as an audit on an annual basis and supersede what state law requires. So if that's not what the comptroller has requested, I'm just saying, because that certainly will cost a few extra dollars.
Right.
But I don't think we're talking about an astronomical amount of money, and I just think it's a good peace of mind for this board and for the community, so.
I agree. Do you want to make that in the form of a motion?
That is in the form of a
Okay,
motion.
is there a second to that?
Second.
Seconded by Heather. Any further comment on it? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Oh,
There's a few things in the box that you skipped over on the revised.
okay.
That was the revised.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, next item will be in our workshop meeting, we had indicated we want to give authority to Principal Ron Tomlin to dispose of items that were deemed unusable and to retain those that he thought had some value at Lake Street School, because that was done at a workshop meeting on advice from council. Any actions that we take after spitball, and so to speak, or kicking ideas around at a workshop meeting need to come back and be revoted in a formal motion at a regular school committee meeting. So that we need a motion to do that.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, Attorney Moskos is here. If I may pose a question to him regarding this.
Sure.
Our workshop, Mr. Moskos, our workshop meetings are posted school committee meetings. We're calling them or terming them workshop meetings only in such that, so that we notify the public of what our intent to do is at these meetings. If we take votes at those meetings, those are legitimately public meetings and legitimate meetings of the school board. Why wouldn't they hold up? Why do we have to revote things twice? I guess it's just, doesn't sound right to me.
Mr. Chairman? It depends, Mr. Chairman, of how the school committee characterizes the workshops. Some districts have a committee of the whole to meet in committee to discuss matters and then recommend back to the school committee as the parent body. Others, as the Ms. Cloutier had indicated, they're actual school committee meetings, and you can act without further meeting. So it depends how the definition. My understanding was that the workshop is like a committee of the whole, and is in effect legally a subcommittee of the committee. And therefore, if that's the case, its vote would have to be ratified by the full committee.
I think, Mr. Moskos, that was the intent when we did this. We set the schedule up because we were not having any success in getting quorums to have bona fide subcommittee meetings. So the thought was that if we did this by having workshop meetings that were listed as school committee meetings, at least we had a better chance of getting a quorum. Those people that could attend would be there, would have discussions, and anything that we were unanimous about would be brought back to the board for a formal vote in front of the whole school committee. So that was the intent, in my mind as chair, when we set this up. But
So, Mr. Chairman, if that's the intent, and that's what is concurred with by the other members of the school committee, then I would stand by my advice that the workshop is a subcommittee, even though it's a committee of the whole, and you can, under parliamentary procedures, you can make yourself a subcommittee as a whole, and therefore, any determinations made in that workshop would have to go before the full formal school committee meeting for approval.
I guess the intent from the chair was that we have some members that have young families, they've got jobs, and they were having some difficulty being able to make all of these meetings, and I didn't want to just have them as regular school committee meetings and then have members being, missing regular scheduled school committee meetings. So the thought was if they were done in a workshop session, it wouldn't be the end of the world, and it would be understandable if members couldn't meet, and they would be able to focus on making sure that they could attend our regularly scheduled monthly meetings on the first Tuesday of each month. That was the...
That's fine. I just wanted a clarification. If we need to vote them twice, I don't have a problem with it. I just was looking for some clarification. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions on that? All right. All right, so we have a motion.
So
from
moved.
Tomlin, a second.
Second.
Seconded by Angela. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Next, in the same vein, we had agreed to extend CBI's contract as treasurer until September 30th. We need a motion for that.
So moved.
Motion by Angela, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Heather. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. We also had agreed to move forward with an advertisement for a district treasurer's position, to have that person in place for October 1st. We need a motion for that.
So moved.
Motion by Benny, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Angela. All those in favor?
I have a question, though.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Wasn't this supposed to be a kind of ASAP? I thought we wanted to try to get them in before CPI was gone so they could get some proper training, not October 1st. Is that
They-
incorrect?
yeah.
When we discussed it at the last meeting, it was,
They will come on full-time for October 1st, but yeah, they'll be here for a training period
Okay.
prior to starting full, yeah, yeah.
so yeah.
Anyone else, any questions on that? Next, members,
Actually-
We need to vote.
I'm sorry?
Vote.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, I've made a
You
motion.
made a motion,
I
second by Angela. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Next item was, we had discussion about the superintendent's evaluation, and just for disclosure for those interested, no other members were available for a time to do what has to be done for evaluation, so the chair is willing to do it, but was willing to defer it to any other member that was interested. The board asked the chair to do that process, so we need a motion to appoint me as the facilitator for the superintendent's evaluation.
So moved.
Motion by Angela, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vinnie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
in the same vein as this last motion, I would ask that we appoint a committee of 2 from our board to meet with the superintendent to choose to sit down and agree upon, the structure of the evaluation. And I would recommend, or I'll make a motion that we appoint you as chairman because you will be the facilitator, and Heather Messier to do that.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Angela. Any further discussion on it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Okay. Next item, under new business, accept FlexCon donation. Dr. Crow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm pleased to announce that Flexcon has just donated 11 Lenovo workstations and 14 Lenovo laptops, which we would like to ask you to accept as a donation so that we can get them ready and give them out.
Under district policy, the board has to accept any donations that are made, so we need a motion to do so.
So moved.
Motion by Angela, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vinnie. Any questions in regards to it?
Mr. Chairman, just that we accept with gratitude and certainly send a letter of thanks. I'm sure it's already been done, but from this board as well, thanking them for their civic support and education.
All right. Motion made, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Next item, citizens' input. Any citizens wish to be heard on anything? Yes, ma'am.
Julie Parento, 223 Paxton Road, also a member of the Spencer Finance Committee. I would just like you to consider for the August 20th bus meeting, the subject of how after-school daycare support for fifth graders, since you're changing the dismissal time, a lot of us will have to have after-school support. If you'll consider them going home on different buses if they're going to like a daycare setting.
Okay.
Also, can you clarify the question in regards to Knox Trail Sports? When it was answered by the superintendent, she said the Knox Trail would be allowed to play high school sports.
Dr. Crow?
I'd actually like to call on Ms. Barassa because Ms. Barassa and I have had many discussions about
Patty, would you
this.
come down to the
We'll hear
mic,
it right
please?
from the principal.
Thank you. In the past, high school, some eighth grade students did play for track and golf club, and they were bused to the school after hours. That is according to MIAA standings. As long as they're governed by one superintendent under the umbrella of MIAA, Dave, you could probably also add to this, that they're any 7th to 8th grade, I think it's 7 to 12 can play under a JV sport. 5th grade, though, will not be able to. Okay.
That answer you, Judy?
Oh, well, just one more. So does that mean there will be no sports at Knox Trail? Their only option will be to try out for JV at the high school?
We have an In the fall, we have soccer and track, and winter basketball and cheerleading, and in the spring, baseball and softball. And those, to my knowledge, we have schedules and coaches all ready to go. Okay? So it's only for those kids, those
wanna
students
play
that want to play up.
One last thing, sorry.
Okay.
A fifth grade is allowed to try out, or is it?
Now, good question. I did research that. I do want to check with the athletic director at the high school. I'm under the understanding that, again, governed by MIAA, that's Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association, it's up to the coach's rule. If they feel a fifth grader is physically equipped enough to play against eighth graders, that's coach's discretion. That's what we've used in the past. I'm not sure, again, with the new situation, if that's what we want to continue with. So,
My understanding, I think there is a waiver that they have to go through. Yeah, I believe there's a waiver they have to go through on those individual cases. But
and I honestly tried looking it up just this week because I knew it would be a question. I couldn't find anything under MIAA that said they couldn't, but a waiver may be necessary.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Vinnie?
one question, follow-up question. In the past year, have we had fifth graders from Wire Village play sports at Knox Trail? Has that happened?
That has not happened.
Okay,
Not in my 3 years.
okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. You all set?
Ask one more question?
Sure, go ahead.
On the new website, you list Assistant Principal Toma, if that's how you say his name, I apologize if it's wrong, as an intra-district assistant principal. What does that mean, intra-district assistant principal? Does that mean he floats to school?
Dr. Crowell? Yeah, please.
The assistant principal positions were all unassigned. The reason that was done is because this district has many, many needs, and each of those individual people that are being hired come with different skill sets. And that allows me to use them wherever I need them, at whatever moment I need them. So, for example, the example I've given is that some people have grants experience. They could be at any one of the schools, including East Brookfield, writing a grant with a principal. On the other hand, somebody else may have PBIS experience that we have a strong need for, that we want to institute more of. They would then, again, work with each school, as opposed to just be stationed in one place. They'll be based in one school. East Brookfield will be the only school that doesn't have one based there all the time, but they will interchange because of their skill sets.
All right, thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to be? Yes, sir. Just give your name for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Jared Jeffries. I asked at the last meeting, it wasn't clear yet. I just wanted to make sure that I understood what I was listening to tonight. The kids coming to this school here, Wire Village, will not be on the same schedule as Knox Trail and the high school?
No, they will not.
So
They'll be on the elementary.
the younger
side.
kids will not be on the same buses?
Right.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, committee comments, future agenda item topics. Anybody?
Mr.
Vinnie?
Chairman, just a couple of things. I just want to reiterate, I think that this August 20 bus meeting is a really good step by the administration to meet with parents one-on-one without the school committee, because certainly don't need us in there to help out with the bus scheduling, that's for sure, and answer all those questions. So if parents out there still have questions about bus scheduling, I encourage them to be at that meeting. Do you know where it's going to be held?
It'll be held here, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock here at Wire Village on the 20th. So, Mr. Chairman, through you, I have two questions, and whether to the superintendent, whether they can be answered this evening or not, that's fine. She can get back to me or get back to us with answers.
Okay, fine.
They both, obviously, when you went through your personnel report, with the amount of retirements, with the amount of resignations, the non-renewals, are we at all close? We're 4 weeks away from today to opening school. Are we close with having a contingency of teachers ready to go for opening day?
Dr. Crow?
We're still interviewing right now, and we still have open positions.
Okay. The positions that aren't open, the employees that we have they received their commitment letters for the upcoming year? Has that all been done? And the stipend letters to those, stipend positions, has that been done?
My understanding was we had to wait until the 31st to be sure that the red line was okay, that we didn't receive any corrections back, and once we knew that, this week those are going out.
Of the collective bargaining agreement, you're saying?
Correct.
Oh, okay. All right. Those are my two questions. Thank you.
Anyone else? Heather?
I just wanted updates on a couple of policies we've batted around. And the acceptable use policy, did we actually establish one? I was trying to remember. I was looking through my notes over the past week.
No, we have two that we need to review. One of them is the wellness policy. I think Ms. Sundquist is here tonight. We're expecting to bring that to the next meeting on the 18th, at the workshop meeting, and I think we should bring the acceptable use as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see that in place before the start of school. It's a big policy. And we also had talked.
We'll put that on the next workshop meeting.
Okay,
the
super.
18th.
And then the remote participation policy, we had talked about that, I think, June of 2014. We made a motion to have the superintendent talk to council to prepare a policy for this. Did we ever prepare one? I'm trying
What
to.
was it again, Heather?
The remote participation policy, so if a member is not at a meeting, they could still
Yes,
vote.
we have a policy that was in place. I believe the board voted and accepted that. Council put it together, and it was read here at the table.
I thought so.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. There is a policy that was
Right.
adopted by the school committee
Right.
because a particular school committee member had a business restriction, so it was put in place.
Yep.
Could we please have that sent electronically to members?
Yes, we
The
can.
policy, I don't know if I have a copy of it. Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? Angela?
I just wanted to ask if, once the school year starts and everything's settled, we have everyone hired, if we can get a list of all of our employees, what their jobs are, if they're teachers, what grade they teach, and if they're high school teachers, what subject they teach and how many classes they have. I just am very interested to see how everything is worked out, if that could be possible. I've never seen something like that here.
Yeah. Dr. Crow?
In fact, at the retreat, that was one of the topics we discussed, that each principal has been charged with making their roster list and checking it twice and 3 times and 4 times, because we
That'd
do
be great.
want to have a master list.
Thank you.
It's accurate.
All right. You have anything else, Angela? No. Mike, you had some?
Yes, I have a few things here. First is, could we get a technology update at the next meeting? I know there were issues where Wi-Fi was close in some buildings, and I'd like numbers on, numbers on units in classrooms, computers, desktops, laptops, whatnot.
Okay.
And then my other question was, will the 5th graders at Knox Trail will they be able to get after-school care? Is that going to be?
Dr. Crow?
We're actually looking into that right now, and it goes in relation to what the other parent asked about. I think Julie asked about that, what about getting care? What about the buses to get them to the right daycare?
Okay.
We're looking at the before and after school program right now.
Very good. So is that something maybe we'll be able to get out to the parents at the bus meeting?
Yes,
Very
I'm
good.
hoping to have it for the next meeting for you.
Thank you.
We'll shoot to get the tech update for the workshop on the 18th, okay?
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything? I'm sorry, when did? No, go ahead. You did miss the bus, but there's a second one
I
coming
know,
by, so.
I'm sorry. I'm always on the short bus. First of all, Linda LeBear from East Brookfield. I just have a question on the floating principal. Who does that person report to?
Dr. Crow?
Superintendent, and also the building principals.
Vice
Okay,
principal.
so who assigns the person to go from?
Excuse me just one second. Did you say floating principal? I think it's vice principal.
Vice principal.
Assistant
I'm sorry.
principal unassigned, actually.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
So at whose discretion is it of where that person goes?
They'll be building-based
Mm-hmm.
on a regular basis, but when there are special things that they need to do, I'll be giving them those assignments, but it's in collaboration with the principals.
So the junior high, will they have a set vice principal?
Well, they're assistant principals, so they're not just vice principals. They're doing lots of different duties. Vice principals are typically thought to be simply disciplinarians. That's not their role in this case. They're assistant principals that have lots of responsibilities about ed evaluation, for example, about curriculum, about grants, about a lot of different things, depending on their particular skill set. So that's why it will all be collaboratively done with the principals,
Are these-
based on those people.
Are these appointed vice principals, are they, do they have a contract for a year, or?
They do.
They do. Is it just a year base?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Linda. All right, any other members have anything? If not, the chair is going to need a motion to go into executive session. There was not an intent to have an executive session tonight, but there was a request from council. So before you is a request to go into executive session to discuss litigation, to discuss strategy for collective bargaining, and to discuss charges of alleged criminal conduct. And to do so publicly would be detrimental, and the chair so declares. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Vinnie, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Angela, on a roll call vote. Heather?
Aye.
Vinnie?
Aye.
Jim? Mike?
Aye.
Angela? And the
Aye.
chair votes aye. Motion to adjourn?
We'll be coming out.
We'll only be coming out just to adjourn, yeah. All right.
Keep this tonight. I was organized before